Welcome to the Chine On Podcast. I'm your host, Chris Hine, and today we're going to be breaking down the science behind ketones. Are they real? No, I don't know. I see stuff on Instagram all the time with ketones. People are drinking ketones. People are doing all kinds of things with ketones. I don't actually know what a ketone is, and I'm sure at some point, maybe in 10 years, I'm going to read like a 2-page PDF that talks like very high level science. And then I'm going to walk around for like 3 weeks just telling people that they should have been on ketones and that ketones have changed my life. I can easily see that happening to me. It happens to me all the time with things that I learn, and then I want to share it with people. So I talk to them like I fully understand what it is that I'm actually talking about. And it's actually an enjoyable process. I see how this happens to dads like all the time. Like growing up, be like, shut the fuck up. You don't know what you're talking about. And now that I'm in this position, I thoroughly enjoy telling people about things that I am not qualified to in any stretch. So I am excited for that. Hey, real quick point of business. I could use your help. I am putting out yeah, I could use your help. I'm putting out an EP. It's an acoustic EP. I recorded it here in my garage, and that'll go live on Spotify, Apple, everything like that on November 4th. And if you can go pre-save it, I'll put the link in the show notes. If you're on Instagram, I'll put the link in the bio. Go pre-save it on Apple, Spotify, whatever you listen to. That helps for um, discoverability. It helps when, you know how normally you're listening to music and then the next song will just start and it's some band from Australia. Well, I can be that band from Australia. So if you go through, hit save, I'd really appreciate it. It'll take me from 2.0 monthly listeners to, who knows, maybe 14. So on Spotify, I looked at this today. So I put the first single out. It's called Sitting Here All Alone, and I put it out on Spotify. And I looked at the bottom of my page, and it says I have 2.0 monthly listeners, not just 2, but 2.0. And I appreciated that Spotify was trying to make me feel better. Something about 2.0 just feels better. It's like the next version of the music. Unfortunately, it was talking about how many people per month listen to my music. And my mom is actually the biggest listener of my music, and she doesn't even have Spotify. So I'm not sure who those other people are. I may be those 2.0 listeners. Like it could be me on my phone, and then when I go to check on the web just to make sure that the song is loaded, that could be the second monthly listener. So I'm excited actually to expand some of this music just beyond myself. That's kind of nice. But yeah, I just on that topic, a couple of things. One of the things that I realize that I do, and I do this all the fucking time, is I will do anything except like in order to get out of the thing that I need to do. So I've been working on music. I've been actually like moving things along, getting new drums laid in, doing bass, like getting all these things laid out for songs that I need to do, but I can find any excuse not to do it. I was I was sitting here the other night just like, man, I should work on the song, but like I'm just a little tired, so I might actually not this might really not be the best time to dive into doing the drums because what I notice in the past is when I do the drums and I'm a little tired, like I just don't get as much done. And then, but I really do good at like mixing drums and coming up with them and making sure it's good when I'm like wide awake and I have some free time. And so I just got to kind of wait until I have that. And then I kind of took stock of like my days and I actually have that situation lined up where I have time to do it. There's nobody around. I'm not letting anybody down by not doing that thing. And I'm also wide awake and it's like perfect timing. That happens like it's legitimately at this point once every month, maybe every 6 weeks. If I'm going to wait for these opportunities to pop up every time I try to do it, I'm going to be sitting here at fucking 45 years old. Like, I am so excited for this EP that I'm working on. I have been working on it for 15 years. I'm so pumped to share it with you. I'm going to put out some teaser videos, and I'm going to put this thing out in 2 years. It's 5 songs. It's going to be sick. It's going to blow your mind. Like, I can't fucking wait for it anymore. It's driving me nuts. And you know what I noticed with this podcast too? I like I made it where I did a couple episodes of our interviews, and then I'm like I almost I was trying to talk myself out of doing this one. Like, you don't need to do it. You got stuff going on. You go to the Fort Lauderdale International Boat Show tomorrow. You got to be ready to go. And when you wake up tomorrow, I mean, you're gonna have to put your clothes in a bag, and you're gonna have to go get gas in your car. I mean, you gotta be on point to be doing that. So like, probably podcast tonight, probably not the best idea. You're gonna be really tired, and yeah. So you probably actually, you know what? You should just watch an episode of The Wire. You're gonna be fine. Yo, if I don't know if you've ever seen The Wire. The Wire is a fucking great show. You know what I like? You know why I like it, and what stands out to me about that show, and actually like all good art. It's like good art makes you think about that for like a couple days. When I finished the first season of The Wire, I'm on season 2 right now. It was like I was just thinking about it for like 3 days straight. Just all the different aspects of what happened, the different like ways that they figured these guys out, how they would figure these criminals out, and then the criminals would change, and it's just and then all the inner workings of their relationships, and then what they run into with just the hierarchy of like the police department and jurisdictions, and trying to get help from the FBI, but then it's not relevant to like their political targets and things like that. It's fucking fascinating. It's really cool. I like shit like that because it makes me go like, oh, somebody thought through this. Like they pulled from real experiences in their life, or what they read, or what they saw, or what they heard, or the people that they know. Like they were actually able to go in, pull those experiences, and then turn it into something like that, where you like I've never been a cop. I have never been to Baltimore. I've flown into the Baltimore airport as a transfer flight to go to somewhere else. So like I've never even been there, and you can feel like you're there, and it brings aspects of reality in that are truthful. It doesn't mean that this is exactly how it goes, or like that would never have happened because in section B62.4.3 it would go like that. It's like, no, really what happens is it's pulling from real situations, and then giving you like a hypothetical, and then playing out what that hypothetical would be like, but with like real elements to it. It's there's some aspect of art that you hear that has a truth to it that makes you automatically like plug in, and a lot of times you can go along for the ride where it's needed. Oh look, my little monitor died. Good thing I plugged that other thing into the wall. But like there's an aspect of truth in that show with the way that the cops interact with each other, their family lives, the problems that they have at home, like how they interact with the criminals, how the criminals interact with each other, like where shit gets out of hand, and where people can get caught. All those things play into you feeling connected to the truth of it. And that's what I really enjoy about that show. I mean, I know Peaky Blinders is not, it's different. The Wire is more like reality based. Peaky Blinders kind of did the same thing for me, not because, oh, like this is how things happen. It was just in a completely different way. There were aspects of truth of the universe that they plugged into, and they did it in a cool way that was stylish, all that shit. But like the story that they told was very human. Like it culminated a human experience, and it was fucking sweet. So, I mean, Peaky Blinders is definitely, I gotta say, that's probably my favorite show of all time. Now that I'm watching The Wire, this is pretty sweet. I'm on season 2, and I'm pumped. Another thing too, you know what recently came out? There was 2 albums that came out. One from Citizen, and then the next one was from Pacifier. I've listened to the Citizen one probably like 3 or 4 times. It's actually fucking sweet. And you know what's cool about it? It is, as I listened to it, I found Citizen. I think they were opening for a band called Such Gold. Um, I heard them live for the first time in Tampa in like 2011 or something like that. And I heard them playing. I was like, these guys are fucking sick. So I bought their EP. It's called Young States, I think. And man, I was just blown away by like how good it was. And they just instantly became like one of my favorite bands. And and then the past 2 albums, they had Life in Your Glass World was the one before this, and then this one, they're definitely a departure from the old stuff for sure. And a lot of people shit on them for it, which I mean, rightfully so. Hey, if you're gonna put together music, you're gonna put it out there, and you're gonna change. People are gonna shit on you, and that's just what the fuck happens. But the last one was really good. At this point, I probably listened to that album like 100 times. It was a lot more programmed drums, um, a lot more stuff like that. But it was cool that they were experimenting with it because it had a very moody feel to it. And then they released these B-sides like on the deluxe version. And I almost even prefer those over the full album now that I've been listening to it. There's some there's some like raw emotions that they capture in those songs that are just so fucking good. Like there's a song called Thin Air, and the like the main version is great. Like it catches you with the guitar and the lyrics at the beginning, and then it like pulls you into the rest of the song. And then there's this alternative version that's like very washed out, but it sits like so nicely. And what's the fucking song on the back end of that album? So you got Citizen, and then you got Life in Your Glass World. Let's look at the deluxe edition, baby. Um, Glass World. It's literally called Glass World. Alternative version. It's it's so good. It's just, man, they fucking knocked it out of the park. And this new album, it's called Calling the Dogs. What did I just fucking hit? Oh, I clicked on their merch button. I don't need any merch right now, baby. Um, it's really fucking cool. And it's different, but it moves all over the place. And there's a song called Dogs on there. It almost sounds like a Nine Inch Nails song, but then one of the pieces of it, they go into this bridge that's like it shouldn't be there, but it's it's perfect. Like it's in the perfect place. And if you're just listening like casually, you'd be like, "What the fuck?" It's like jarring. But if you're actually like listening in intently, it's I don't know, something about the transition like it literally evokes a memory from wherever it will land for you, but it's like goes from this industrial sounding thing to just like this like fucking you're floating in time for 15 seconds and then back into it, and it's really well done. So I don't know if you'll ever fucking hear this, but kudos, guys, if you do hear this, well done. And yeah, I'm gonna keep listening to the album. And then Pacifier just put out a new album too. I'm halfway through listening to it, but I've heard a decent chunk of these songs as they put them out for singles, and like, dude, fucking Pacifier always delivers. Like they always deliver good music. Like since I started listening to them in fucking I don't know 2008 or something, like everything is good that they do. And they're always like every song will it sits in the place that it's supposed to. Like their way they plug into the rhythm and the beats is so good. The songwriting's great. The instruments are great. And like, I don't think I appreciated their drummer and like his skill of carrying the beat until recently. Like some of the stuff sounds simple, but it's fucking exactly where it needs to be. And then I think the drummer and the bass player are brothers. Like the bass player is ridiculously good. I was at Warp Tour one time, and like they have a ton of effects pedals and stuff, and like he's got this whole rig set up, and his pedals were just not fucking working. Like they would not work, and he was just like, "Fuck it, I'll play it." He played it without any pedals. It sounded sick, and it was like a great show. It was in Tampa. It was at Vinoy Park, where they do Reggae Rise Up now, and it was just it was so cool to see um, like that, like roll with itness and still fucking nail it. They were actually the first real band that I saw live. I went to go see Pepper in New York City, uh, like 2008. One with my brother and my cousin, and they were the opening band. And the first song, like pretty much the first song I ever heard live going into a show was Ghost Man. Like I'd been to like some kind of BS concerts or something like that, uh, or just like one-off things, but like never a show I was going to. And they were the first band. I was like, holy fuck, dude, that looks awesome. Like they sounded cool as shit. But then the Supervillains came on, and they had that like Billy Joel cover. That was really cool. And then Pepper came on, and I was like, dude, that's the most fun I've ever seen adults having in my whole life. Like that's what I want to do for my job. And it hasn't happened yet. I'm going to the Fort Lauderdale International Boat Show tomorrow. But no, it's that stuff's a good reminder of like why you do things and why you make music. Like I saw, like him or hate him or indifferent, the guy Alex Hormozy. I gotta say, like after all this time of like hearing clips and listening, and I listened to his book, The $100 Million Offers, like he's got good points. Like he's not full of shit. Like a lot of these guys that you listen to, you're like, man, this guy seems full of shit. He gives that feeling because he wears the fucking thing on his nose and all that stuff. But he's not full of shit. Like he's got really good points. And he was talking about, I saw some clip of him talking about like, hey, like success can come if you do something for a long time. Like you just have to be willing to do that thing, like whatever the result is. Like you don't want to do things to your detriment. Like I'm not like, oh, my main goal is like I want to smoke 10 pounds of crack in my life, and I'm just gonna keep fucking going. Like I will keep smoking this crack as long as I can. I'm not. That's not probably the best goal. You can do that if you want to hit it. But like I'm looking at it like, okay, I want to do this podcast. I want to do music. Like, dude, what if nobody fucking listens? Like, what if this podcast never gets more than like 5 listeners or something like that? Like, all right, dude, whatever. Like, maybe I'll just keep doing it. And like, for some of those things, stop looking for the external validation. And like, are you willing to do this for 10 years with no real success, and then be willing to just put in that time, and then maybe something happens? Like, I don't know. I don't know that answer yet. I'm not 10 years in, and I don't see the future that far. But if I just keep doing this, like something will happen. Like cool shit happens from this. Like I had somebody that I interviewed for like a professional podcast that I did that you would not think would ever have listened to this podcast. I didn't think it. And I showed up to interview her, and I was and one of the first things she was like, "Are you Chris Hine from the Cheen On podcast?" I was like, "Yeah, that's me." Like thinking to myself, like, "Fuck, dude, I'm about to go to this professional interview, and this lady has like heard my stuff, and then she's gonna be like, well, why do you think that? Why are you so fucking stupid?" And she was like, "Oh, I loved your interview with Charles from the ketamine clinic, and this and this, and like, here's my experience with microdosing, and here's why, and I had these anxiety attacks, and this has really helped, and I was always curious about this. Like, I thought that was a great interview. I'm like, all right, cool, and it fucking livened it up. It opened it up. I opened up the conversation, and we had a solid interview, and you know, I'll end up probably seeing her at this boat show. And I've got another customer who talked to them, and then that might lead to deals, and that might be like $8,000 worth of business just on an initial deal. And then that could be like way more down the road. And it's just one of those things like, hey, I don't know if that conversation would have went as smooth if she didn't hear me talking for an hour or an hour and a half about ketamine, and like me sharing some of my experiences, not with ketamine, but like other things, and just I don't know if I didn't have that, I don't know how smooth that would have gone. So it's cool that these things get put out into the world and like people find them. Like I was at I did the business podcast for a while, and I was at the podcast movement in Dallas, Texas, and a guy walks up to me. He's like, "Are you Chris from the Southwest Florida Business Podcast?" I'm like, "Yeah, man. What's going on?" And he's like, "Dude, I found you on YouTube. And then we ended up talking, and I've stayed in contact with him for like, I don't know, well over a year now, and no, just random shit like that. Like I put out, we did the clips, we did the interview with Ike, and some of those clips got millions of views, and people fucking stole the clips and put them elsewhere, and those got millions of views. And like I had people reaching out to me like, "Hey, dude, I was just on Reddit, or I was just on fucking Snapchat or something random, and your face popped up." I'm like, "Oh, okay." Like it's just cool. I don't. What does that mean? I don't know, but it's fun, and so I'm just gonna keep fucking doing it. And you know what? You know what else do? What I realize, like I'll do this all the time, and I do it with music especially because you can do this like perfectionism thing. And so the lead singer of Citizen, his name's Matt Caracas. Caracas. I don't know. Sorry, dude. Um, Caracas. We'll go with that. And dude, he's been put like I kind of had this realization like 2 or 3 weeks ago. Is he's been putting out music for like 7 or 8 years just under his own name as an offshoot from the band. And he just like, it seems like he's just making that music and producing it himself. Maybe he has somebody that mixes or something, but like he's just kind of putting it together and doing it. And it's like not necessarily about how perfectly is this thing EQ'd, and did you get the bottom of the mix, and did you EQ that out so you won't have this like little rumble, and I could hear that when I put it. It's like it's more like, hey, I have these fucking songs and I made them, and I'm going to put them together, and I'm just going to put them out there. And like they're great songs, and they don't follow a particular formula. They're not all, well, these songs are hard, and I'm just going to make fucking music that's hard. It's just like all over the place. Some of it's light, some of it's heavy, some of it's dark. It's just cool. And there's like programmed drums and shit. Some of it sounds real drums, some of it sounds programmed. Some of it's like rap beats almost with singing over it. It's oh yeah, get in there. I've been sick for a while, and I lost my voice, and this is my Men's Warehouse voice. You're gonna like the way you look. I guarantee it. And so I like hearing stuff like that because it gets me in the mindset of like, yo, you know what? You can fucking do this. You can actually go make music. It doesn't have to be perfect. I can make it at my house. I started doing that a while ago, and I kind of had my own business. I was trying to do it where I would like mix music, and that was going to be my career. I wasn't really good enough at it. I was had too much self doubt, and honestly, I don't think I would have been happy doing that as my profession, like mixing music for other people. Um, but I got away from it, and I told myself like I couldn't do that, and I don't think that's true. I think I can. I just need to put the time in. And I listened back, like I got a song on Spotify from like 2001 that I did, and like it's not perfect, but it's a good song. And like I show it to people and they're like, "You made this?" I'm like, "Yeah." Fuck, dude, this is cool. And I think I just told myself for a while now, like, yeah, I can't do it. Like, it's not, won't be good enough. And then every time you do it, you're just like, what would some Russian guy on Instagram think that's a music producer that's like the best producer in the world? Like, what are these people going to think about my music? Like, are they even going to like it? And it's like, I'm not really making it for that person. I'm making it so that way somebody can hear it and have like tap into some sort of fucking human experience that they've had that they're trying to process, or like a nice memory or a painful memory, and it's just, hey, it brings it to the surface, like whatever it is, like I don't know, I want people to receive it that way. And I guess it doesn't matter what I do with critics. You know what I did one time? I put together music, and then I paid money to submit it to like 100 critics and get their feedback. And like I remember I opened that while I was on the plane with my now wife. She was my girlfriend at the time, and I was just reading it. And it was just like destroying my confidence. Everyone was like, "Yeah, the music's good, but the voice is terrible." Like, oh man, I like his voice, but this music is awful. Like, there was like one review out of 100 that was like, this is really good, and everything else was like full fucking criticism. Dude, that's a great company idea. It's like, hey, I'm gonna, hey guys, you guys are gonna be music critics, and these people are going to pay like $100 for you to listen to their song, and I just need you to not be nice about it at all, and that's how we're going to drive value for these people. And so I was a fucking idiot, and I paid for that, and I got that feedback back, and it was like it destroyed me. It sucked. And I just that I looked at that on the plane while before we took off, and I think that was like all I could think about on the plane was just like, fuck, I should have wrote the song different. I should have uh I should have maybe used different lyrics. I should have spent more time. I need to spend more time writing lyrics. I need to do more poetry. I need to get better at guitar. And then you just spend all this time thinking about what you can't fucking do and why you suck. And I do that shit all of the time. I still do it. And there's all these excuses that come up, and then that comes up like while I'm writing poetry or fucking lyrics or something like that. I'm just like, you know what? I haven't had a Sprite in a long time. I should have a Sprite right now. A Sprite would be good. That sounds really refreshing. You know what would make this writing even better? It would be a Sprite. Just a little pop of Sprite. The fizz when it's just so delightful, and they're cold. They're right there in the fridge. It's going to be so nice. You should go get that Sprite. It's going to be great. And these are these are things that pop up that derail you when you start to get in that flow, and that fear sinks in, and you're like, oh fuck, the bike's getting out of control. It's speeding up. It's getting faster. Like, now's the time. I should get a fucking Sprite. That's what I need right now, is a nice cold Sprite. You don't need to do your work. Just get that Sprite. What about, have a beer? Why not? Just go. It's going to be fine. You're in the middle of this. I know. You just don't worry about hanging in there for 5 more minutes. Just go get it. And then those things pop up, and that fucking crosses over into everything. Yeah, you get it. You know what else I wanted to fucking talk to you guys about is the National Enquirer. Dude, I don't know, I have seen these things in the supermarket for the past, I've been alive for 30 years, and actually apparently that's how long these new Diana tapes that are driving daggers into Harry's heart, they've been found after 30 years. So the day I was born, these tapes of Diana calling her son a ginger fuck finally have come to light. And these are in her own words. Dude, this thing is great. I've never even opened one of these because I didn't know, like, I didn't know what would be, like, in these. Let me get something good. Inquirer exclusive. You be the judge. Donald Trump, hunk or chunk? So what I like about the National Enquirer, now that I'm looking at these, is the way they start every single article is like a great adjective. So, like, brutally blunt friends director James Burrows claims British actress Helen Baxendale, who played Ross's wife, didn't gel with the sitcom's cast because she was not particularly funny. This is a news flash. Actually, my favorite news. So all right. So then you have like Jessica horns in on Kardashians. Shrewd Jessica Simpson is teasing a return to reality TV. Kim creams Kanye over custody. Rattled reality star Kim Kardashian is so disgusted by the bizarre behavior. Like scaredy cat comic David Spade is going woke to keep from going broke. Insider snitch. So like I actually genuinely like this. Another piece that is also um, kind of like one of those things that brings you back to like what the fuck is reality. So I guess which Jonas, Joe Jonas and Sophie Turner. Sophie Turner is the girl that played Sansa in Game of Thrones. So I guess they got a divorce, and I'm thinking like, oh, okay, these people, they're probably in their 30s, all that stuff, and they don't have any kids. So it's like, okay, whatever, celebrity thing. No, they've got two fucking kids. There's a picture of them both holding their one kid. She's pushing a stroller. They look fucking miserable, as any good parents should, that are holding toddlers wearing like an entire fucking coat like that. Like you really should be miserable anytime you're in public with a toddler. It's generally a fucking nightmare. And so just imagine you're a 34-year-old guy and she's 27. So they have two daughters and she's only 27. So this isn't like a seasoned adult. If imagine you're fucking 27, you have two kids, and you're just out walking with them, and people are snapping pictures of you, and then you get divorced, and you find yourself being written up like pop punk Joe Jonas and Game of Thrones siren Sophie Turner. Like, oh, those are actually kind of nice, but they're like going through their life. Like there's no way the person writing this is under 60 years old. Like I don't know anybody who would write for the National Enquirer that's a young person. Like just so imagine you're 27 years old and there's like a 50 or 60 something year old like man, like a man who's got he's got a he's got a bit of a butt chin, but he also has the full. He's got like one flat, like his chin goes straight to his chest, like that's how his neck is. And that guy's sitting there writing pop hunk Joe Jonas and Game of Thrones siren Sophie Turner are putting up a united front as they head for divorce court. Like that's that actually it brings me joy when I don't do well, like in my day to day, and I can think like, okay, there's a guy out there. There's like an old man writing about a 27-year-old mom. I also like this news flash. This was one of my favorite news flashes. Was troubled actor Gary Busey, 79, is in hot water again. He's being investigated for allegedly rear-ending a car in his Volvo and then refusing to turn over his insurance info to the other driver, who caught it all on video. I like that there's somebody out there on this beat is following 79-year-old Gary Busey about getting into a rear end incident and then not giving his insurance card. You can tell who they like and then who they don't, or who they feel sad for. And you can tell it on the whole, like, you can tell it very quickly. Rock goddess Gwen Stefani, they like Gwen Stefani. Cuddling Clooney, renewed second time smitten George Clooney, has turned his marriage woes around and is planning on saying his I do's all over again to celebrate. Spies chatter. I'm just imagining like somebody spying on them. Like somebody goes into a restaurant in Hollywood wearing a wire. Like, hey, I'm actually a spy, and I'm doing research on George Clooney on whether or not he's going to propose to his wife. And I'm just chattering about it. Trauma dampens Rain's spirit. Tormented Rain Wilson made millions. So like you can see who they way to go, Donald. Uh yeah, so they're making fat jokes on Donald Trump. I actually am surprised that they're making fun of Trump in this. Um yeah, I don't know. This is just this is great. I love it. And when I was buying a National Enquirer at Publix, I was like, you kind of go through that phase of like, oh, I'm buying this ironically. I don't normally read this. Like, I don't know. I would have felt more comfortable buying like tampons or something. I felt very uncomfortable buying that, and yeah. So I recommend next time you're there, actually pull it out. Pull it out of the sleeve at Publix. Pull it out of the sleeve in the grocery store, and give it a little read. You'll have a little chuckle. All right. That's all I got. Hey, if you can, what I'd really appreciate, if you can like and subscribe to this, whether on YouTube, you're on Spotify, Apple, if you subscribe to it, we'll show up each week. I do these Tuesday night, and I put them out every Wednesday morning. It'll be there for you when you're driving and you're going to the gym, whatever you want. Um, that helps a lot. Share this with somebody. If you actually enjoyed this episode, please share this with somebody. Send them the link on Spotify. Send them the link on YouTube. Whatever it is, that helps us because I like doing this shit. And it is nice when people listen and they give some feedback. No burp. No burp for you people. What effect do we have on here? We don't have any effect on here. Oh my God. Oh, Jesus Christ. Oh, yeah. All right. Goodbye, everybody. Thank you.